Hello, all, and thanks for joining. You may have noticed in the last couple of videos that I've talked a little bit more openly about the actual training that I've done. In the past, I haven't talked too much. I've kind of kept a lot of that training to myself and my coaches. I've decided to open things up a little bit more this year. You may have seen the couple dedicated videos on the bike that I've done. In the last video leading into Ironman South Africa, I talked a lot about the quality runs that I did and the progression that I followed leading into that race. And yeah, I'm going to keep that going and talk a little bit through about a little bit more about the run block here that I've done in the meantime between what was supposed to be Ironman South Africa. Unfortunately, I got a little bit sick, and the bridge into Ironman Texas. When I finally returned home from South Africa, there was a package waiting for me from Cosmet. If you've been following along on my journey, you know that I've never really had a actual watch sponsor. So I've really tested a number of different ones out, really all of the major brands I've been able to test out, and all of them come at a very steep price point. So I was excited to give the Cosmet Take T3 Ultra 2 watch a try, mainly because the price point is much, much lower. The barrier of entry is much, much lower for this one at $169 for the premium version versus a lot more with most of the other brands. And so I appreciate them sending one out to for me to give it a try and talk a little bit about that. This isn't a huge review of that, but yeah, I'm happy to give kind of my initial feeling of the video or of the watch for, at the beginning of this video before talking in more detail about the run progression that I did that I'm doing between South Africa and Texas. Despite the lower cost entry point, it still comes with numerous different sport profiles. Obviously, I need swim, bike, and run. Strength is an added perk as well, but there's 170 different profiles that you can go through on the app and choose which ones that you want to have on the watch itself or not include. I simplified mine quite a bit, but again, that's something that you can customize. It is nice that it is customizable from the app. You can change the watch face. You can review all your workouts. You can look at your sleep tracking, your heart rate, and a lot of the features that all the main brand watches that come 3, 4, or 5 times the price point as this one have. Personally, I use my watch for swim and run specifically. I don't typically use my watch for biking. You certainly can with this one, but I have a bike computer, so it's not something that I was testing it out with. But I've used it for a week. Haven't had to charge it once. When I'm at the pool, on my home pool, I don't have a pace clock, so it's good to have a swim mode that not only gives you a pace clock, but also will count your laps for you. I tend to zone out a little bit from time to time, especially on the warm up and cool down when I'm just kind of going through the motions and getting the body ready. I don't always count all the laps. And so being able to have that option is definitely a perk. And of course, being able to monitor the GPS heart rate and pace while you're running is absolutely essential for what I'm doing. One of the downfalls is that as of right now, it doesn't connect directly with Training Peaks or Human Go or any of the other major training platforms out there. You can review your full workout in the app itself, but I wasn't able to slingshot it into the or download it as a fit file and push it off into Training Peaks. That's something that I'm sure is an easy add on their part, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that as a feature coming very soon. But overall, I was happy with the watch. Really impressed with the battery life. I had going a week of training without having to charge a watch is pretty rare, especially with the volumes that I've been putting in on this block that we'll talk about right now. When we sketched out the kind of rough progression of how we wanted this season to go, Julie and I decided we wanted to put a big run effort into leading into South Africa. A lot of that was based on how I thought the race would shake out. If you look at the past, the swim had been shortened a number of times. It had been canceled a couple of times. And, obviously I had to be ready for the entire race. I went in there prepped to do the entire race, but just played the odds a little bit and really wanted to make sure I was running really well and putting the emphasis there. And then the plan was to do a swim bike focus and kind of put the run in maintenance mode when I got back. Typically after a marathon, it takes me a little bit longer to recover from the run than it does the swim and the bike. And so that was the plan. And despite not getting a marathon in the legs, when I was coming back, I kind of decided that that was still the right route to go. I was running really well. I talked about that in the lead in video. If you haven't watched that already, I talked about that in the lead into South Africa, and possibly too well. The run training was going fantastic. I was hitting workouts that I wasn't ever able to hit in the past. And I was struggling a little bit in the swim and the bike, especially later into the build. I had full faith that once we hit the taper, the power and paces in the pool would come back easier. Never got to really figure that out because of the sickness that I got, but that was the hope and that was the plan leading in. And coming home, I thought that I would be able to get right back into the swing of things, but uh, given I was feeling pretty well leading into the race, and I don't know if I kind of took a step back by trying to do 3 hours of the race that I was able to get in before I pulled the pin, or if it was just a long travel nightmare that I had on the way home with a couple of rerouted flights. But I kind of took a step back health wise, and it took me the rest of the week of that week to get back on track. So I never really got any quality sessions in for the week after South Africa. So that only gave me basically 12 days of solid training, and then I have to start tapering again for Ironman Texas. And so when I came into this past week, I went, I needed to have, I needed to get right into a solid block of training, not be fighting it. If I didn't have a good week, I was possibly going to have to pull the pin on Ironman Texas. I didn't want to travel to another race not feeling good. That's not for the field that's at Ironman Texas. That's not the way to be. Thankfully, on the weekend, things started to come around really well. I started to feel good, kept everything easy, but started to feel good. Came in Tuesday and I did a total of 40 minutes at Ironman race pace, just 4x10. And heart rate was right where it should have been, even a little bit lower than I would have anticipated given all that had happened. And then did the second run in the afternoon. Again, I didn't look at my watch at all. I just went and ran for the 40 minutes that I was supposed to and came in sub 6 with low heart rate without, just an easy aerobic run. So the pace was there. That gave me a little bit more confidence that we're going to be okay. Wednesday was a long bike day. Then I came back, easy run on Thursday morning, hard swim. And then I did 6 by 5 minutes at 70.3 pace. Again, paces were right on, pretty easy. And I was happy with how everything felt. Friday, I did a big race simulation session. So 5 hours on the bike with a lot of quality work in there. And then 80 minutes on the run. And I had intervals, but the overall average of the entire run, if I would average that for Ironman Texas, I'd be a happy camper. So that was a really positive session to be able to do that. And the warmest day that we've had here ended up being 85 degrees. So it was a really good race simulation day for Ironman Texas. Very similar conditions, windy in the morning, hot in the afternoon. So that was a great day. Then Sunday I had my last big run, 23 miles total with 80 minutes at slightly faster than Ironman or target Ironman race pace. And then coming into this week here, we will keep a little bit of intensity in there, nothing crazy. We're putting most of the intensity in the swim and the bike again. My run's in a great place. Everything, this last week showed me that I didn't lose anything despite getting sick, despite taking, basically 2 weeks of little, no quality training. I was tapering it for South Africa, didn't get to race there. And then with the travel, I had no quality the following week, but was able to get right back into a groove and feel really good about the runs that I did in the first 8 days of the 12-day block that I have before I need to start backing things off into Ironman Texas. So that's where we are right now. I'll still get a few quality sessions in, but nothing more. That I think the longest one that I'll do between now and race day will be 14 miles. So nothing crazy at this point. It's a couple hard bikes and a number of hard swims. We've got to get that to shape up, but I'll come back and talk a little bit more on South Africa and then a proper lead into Ironman Texas video here next week. But wanted to get this one out to kind of keep up the trend of talking about the actual training that I've been doing a little bit more. I've done the dedicated bike video. Now I've got a dedicated run video, and who knows if I can get this swim to shape up a little bit more. We'll put out a dedicated swim video here shortly as well. That's all I've got this time. We'll see you next week.